What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we need to talk about Sundial Stock, ticker symbol SNDL, and the acquisition that just went through with Alcanna and Nova Cannabis, because there has been some really great news coming out the past couple of days regarding this, as well as some legalization news that we're going to touch on. So let's start off by looking at the chart and seeing what we've got going on today. So obviously today, Sundial was down about 1.75%. We did pump up in the pre-market before fading away pretty much as soon as the market opened. We just started moving down and down, unfortunately, right? We didn't move down that much. It was only 1.75%, completely understandable. But all in all, it's not the best situation, right? Ideally, Sundial would be moving up, and you can see that we've been fairly stagnant for the past 30 days. So it could be worse. We aren't making new lows, but we aren't making new highs either, which I would like to see preferably sometime soon, right? Especially now that this acquisition has gone through. So let's talk about the acquisition and what happened with it. So Alcanna has approved the proposed plan of arrangement, and over 90% of the votes were in favor. So obviously, this was a very popular plan with Alcanna shareholders. As part of this deal, the original arrangement was that every Alcanna share would be turned into 10.69 shares of Sundial. However, that is not the case, right? The day before the actual vote, they had to change the deal to get enough people to vote yes, apparently, or at least that's what it seemed, but they did end up changing the deal, and now, instead of getting 10.69 shares of Sundial, Alcanna shareholders will get 8.85 shares of Sundial, as well as $1.50 in cash. So they changed it from a stock-only deal to a stock and cash deal. So very interesting to see. It is a slightly better deal for the Alcanna shareholders in this situation because they gave up about 2 shares worth of Sundial. And Sundial, at its current price of 58 cents, 2 shares is worth about $1.20. So by getting the $1.50 in cash instead of those 2 shares, they're ending up getting an extra 30 cents, just about maybe 35 cents of value in this acquisition per Alcanna share. So overall, it's a slightly better deal for Alcanna than what they had before. But if that's what it takes to get the merger to go through, then I think it's well worth it. You know, the 30 cents a share is well worth this acquisition. I think that Sundial still has a lot of cash that they could potentially spend on other acquisitions. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But notably, 90% of the votes cast were in favor of the arrangement. So obviously, this was a very popular deal, right? Especially after this new stipulation in the arrangement where they get 8.85 shares and $1.50 in cash. A lot of people seem to like that as part of the deal, so they ended up voting yes, overwhelmingly so, right? There were very few dissenters. In fact, only about, 10.49% of people voted no. So overall, 9.96% of people voted no. So overall, a very high percentage of people voted for this deal. Now, here's a quote from the CEO of Alcanna, where he says the support from Alcanna shareholders, over 90% of the votes, clearly demonstrates the value of Sundial's offer. Sundial's best-in-class balance sheet with approximately $1.1 billion in cash and investments provides the foundation for ongoing value creation and growth that Sundial has seen over the past 2 years under Zach George's leadership. Now we have a quote from Zach George, the CEO of Sundial, where he says, Alcanna's regulated product distribution platform will strengthen Sundial's operations, portfolio, and cash flow profile. We are humbled by the support of Alcanna shareholders and look forward to working with the team at Alcanna to create a best-in-class company focused on delighting consumers and delivering value to all stakeholders. So overall, people on both sides of this spectrum are very happy with this deal. Both the Alcanna CEO, the Sundial CEO, and the Alcanna and Sundial shareholders, everybody was very happy with this arrangement. And notably, Nova Cannabis is owned in majority by Alcanna. And now that Alcanna is going to be owned by Sundial, that means Sundial will actually own a majority stake in Nova Cannabis, which is very important for Sundial. And Nova actually recognizes how important this is and has issued some comments following this acquisition. In fact, the CEO of Nova has said Sundial's financial depth and available capital demonstrated commitment to cannabis and cannabis retail and strong support for our value-focused business model makes Sundial a compelling partner as we enter our next phase of growth in executing on our disruptive strategy. So that's the CEO of Nova Also very excited about this acquisition, and it's worth noting that Nova's total store count is currently 74 stores. Okay, so they currently have 74 cannabis stores in Canada that are going to be able to be added to Sundial's portfolio and start holding and carrying and selling some of Sundial's products. So there will certainly be some synergies there. It'll definitely be good for their underlying business. And Nova Cannabis also remains committed to its expectation of having 200 stores opened by the end of 2023. And I think they'll definitely be able to do it because Sundial, which is now the majority owner, has $1.1 billion in cash on the balance sheet. And if you can't open up more stores with $1.1 billion in cash, then I don't know what you can do. So I will point out very quickly, before we get to the legalization news, I'll point out that the channel currently has 9,500 subscribers, and we're trying to get to 10,000, so we're only about 500 away. I think we can do it pretty soon, probably by the end of January. So if you want to join the family, get more Sundial stock news, feel free to subscribe to the channel, or subscribe on Rumble also. We have about 400 subscribers there, and we've actually been doing pretty decently lately. Some of the videos that we posted lately have gotten a decent number of views, so feel free to subscribe on Rumble also. But on to the legalization news, because it is interesting. Right now, this first article says that Austin officials certify local marijuana decriminalization initiative for the May ballot. So Austin, Texas voters will essentially, they'll have the option to vote whether or not they want to decriminalize cannabis sometime in May when they have an actual election, right? It'll be an issue on the ballot that's going to be put in front of voters. And we've seen time and time again, every time that cannabis is put in front of voters, every time a cannabis issue is put in front of voters, I should say, voters tend to vote for legalization, decriminalization, whatever the most lenient policy is. That's what we tend to see, because now we've run a bunch of polls. We know that people on both sides of the spectrum, majorities of people on both sides, both conservatives and both liberals, like cannabis. They think that cannabis should be legalized. The majority of both parties, Republican and Democrat, think so. So pretty much everyone is in favor of cannabis legalization. So it will be no surprise to see, especially in Austin, Texas. Although Texas is a fairly conservative state, Austin is actually a city. And cities do tend to be a little bit more liberal and open, potentially, to cannabis legalization and decriminalization, as is actually on this ballot. So, although this isn't the most impactful news for Sundial stock, right, because it's just decriminalization, and certainly Sundial isn't going to be operating in Texas anytime too soon, it is still just a good thing to have more decriminalized states, more decriminalized cities, and more acceptance across the board, right? Because overall, if you can get this decriminalized in most areas or legalized in most areas, then you're not going to have a very tough time legalizing it at the federal level. If it's already legal pretty much everywhere else, it wouldn't make much sense for politicians who live in states where it is legal or decriminalized to continue making it illegal at the federal level. So overall, this is just a continuation of the trend that we've been seeing that's pushing us in the overall direction of legalization at the broad scale, at the federal level. So overall, really good stuff. I'm very happy to see it. And also, another little piece of notable news is that the new coalition government in Germany is unveiling some initial details about its cannabis legalization plan. And although I will say the reform is taking a back seat to tackling the COVID pandemic. So unfortunately, they're not rolling out legalization as quickly and as effectively as they were hoping to, because they are focusing on the new strain of COVID that's been coming around. So that's the main focus of this new coalition government, but they are dedicated, they have said, to legalizing cannabis this year, and that is the plan. And they also said that basically they want adults to be able to possess and purchase cannabis from licensed facilities, and that's very good for Sundial. Sundial doesn't currently operate in Germany. TLRY actually does operate in Germany at the medical cannabis level, but Sundial certainly could one day. So overall, really good stuff. I'm excited to see it. Sundial stock has been relatively stagnant over the past couple of days, past couple of weeks, but we'll see what happens with it, right? Obviously, it's good that we're not continuing this big downtrend that we were in over the past while, right? We had been in a downtrend. Now it looks like we've stagnated. Hopefully we'll be able to break out to the upside sometime soon. That's the hope, at least. We'll see what happens with it. Obviously, none of this was financial advice. I'm not recommending that anyone do anything with their money or buy or sell certain stocks. I'm just letting you guys know some of the news, as well as telling you my opinion on Sundial stock, ticker symbol SNDL. So if you guys appreciate that, feel free to subscribe to the channel, either on YouTube or on Rumble, or both. And then like the video also, that would be much appreciated. And other than that, guys, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.